Rabbi Isai, we're learning about the spirit of Avraham Avinu, the great spirit of the Eitan, the mighty Titan, who went out and called in the name of God to all of humanity to help people move in a positive direction. And I want to mention that in the spirit of Avraham Avinu, we have a group that people can join. It's on Slack, which is like a business platform. And the reason that we use Slack is because, like we said, we're in the business of bringing Mashiach, and we take that very seriously. And people can join us, and we want to help move humanity in a positive direction. And this is for people that are motivated to be on that journey and to help take these steps in the positive direction. And there's a link that people can go to in the whole description. So in that spirit of Avraham Avinu, we're seeing the development as Avraham Avinu was having conversations with people, and he was discussing God. And now, you know you're doing something good when the king, and this is not a good king, the king, the evil king, whose name was Nimrod, Bikesh lahargoi, wanted to kill Avraham Avinu. V'nasa lo nes v'yotza l'charan. And through a great miracle, Avraham Avinu was saved. He was thrown lekivshon ha'esh, to a burning furnace, and he was saved. And the Kubrina Rebbe says something very beautiful. He says, it's a very big miracle that Avraham Avinu was saved from the fiery cauldron. But he said, you know what a bigger miracle was? Not that Avraham Avinu was not burned by the fire. A bigger miracle was that Avraham Avinu was so on fire for the love of God. The bigger miracle is that Avraham Avinu didn't burn the fire. He didn't burn the furnace. That's a much bigger miracle than he wasn't burned by the fire. He was so ablaze with God consciousness. A much bigger miracle is he didn't just burn the furnace. I'll let you guys think about that. And what happened at this point after Avraham Avinu? Now sometimes when a person is, they try to basically kill Avraham Avinu, you might say, I think I should just kind of pack it in, lay low. He became even more powerful. Even more powerful. Now it says he started speaking out in great, great power. L'kol ha'olam. Avram is now going to share God with the entire world, and to just have conversations with people that have been steeped in idol worship for their whole life. Sheyesh sham Eloika echad. God is real, and you can have a relationship with Him. L'kol ha'olam v'lo roi lavoid, and it's only appropriate to have a relationship with God and God alone. V'haya mahalach v'koire. Oh, and now it gets better. Now he's like moving, and he's speaking. Everywhere he's going, he's like on like the world tour, talking about God. Umekabetz ha'am, and people started going with Avraham Avinu, like Chassidim. They started to join together with Avraham Avinu. Yeah.
So
Shane.
I heard something about people who joined Avraham Avinu and then went to the east.
That was the gifts that he sent to the east, which comes later. That was in the blessing to Yitzchak, and then he sent gifts to the east. Here, though, this is just the origins of the story, where he's just talking about God. He's traveling around, just talking about God, and having open conversations. I think very honest conversations with people. Trying to maybe help people get out of that box that they were in. Just to get out of the box. There was this book that I saw, I remember in college. I think it was called The Last American Indian. And it was a book that really affected me a lot, because somebody clipped out a part of the book, and it was speaking about a Native American who was describing like the West and the influence that came into some of the places that he was growing up. And basically he described it, I think it was set like kind of in the 40s, where he described it as like everything started to become boxes. So he said, the way we grew up, everything was round. It's interesting, in nature, everything is very round. Everything is very, very, very spheres and round and colors. And he was describing that the world became very boxy. So he says, it's strange that the Western man came in, and then they decided he's like, I'm just observing. And I'm sure someone will find it. Somebody once showed it to me again, this passage. He said, these people are fascinating. They sleep on this box, and then there's this like beeping box that like beeps them awake, and then they hit the box, and then they go into a box, and inside the box, they open it up. It's a cold box. They have all these little boxes inside this box, and they take out one of the boxes and they pour some type of a boxy looking item, and then it's amazing. They get in this box on wheels, and then they take this box. You know where they go? You never guess. To a giant box. And you know what's inside that box? You never guess. Floors of boxes, but you never imagine what happens after. When you get to your floor, the whole floor is just filled with other cubicle boxes. And then you'll never guess what happens. Then they go into their box and they spend the whole day typing on a box. So it's an interesting thing, just observing the world. So I always found like that was an interesting observation, just this world of boxes. Now, I'm not hating on boxes right now. I'm just pointing out that Avraham Avinu started having conversations about, did you ever think about that? That you're just like going from one box to the next? Or you're just in a box? And maybe we could talk things out. Maybe we could speak about money, how it works. Maybe we could question what's good money, what's not good money. Maybe we could just have conversations about things. Yeah.
I guess it's like a popular, it's like a joke where it's like, let's say like the Jehovah's Witnesses, like, oh, knock knock, have you heard about our Lord and Savior JC, like that type of thing, and everyone's like, yeah, they're like religious weirdos or creeps or like something. It's like a joke. It's like a trope. That's right. It's like a trope in the West. I never thought, as you said, like Avram was like walking and talking to people. Like, how do you? I guess Aish is a specialty, but how do you kind of be a religious, sincere person, and you don't come across as like a Jehovah's Witness of like.
So I don't think Avraham Avinu was like, knocking on people's doors and just and saying like, worship God. I think he probably was talking about Bitcoin. He's probably talking about like, let's just talk things out. First of all, the way that he was doing it is he said, come into my home. Let's have a meal together. Come on in. He set himself up in a place where there'd be wayfarers, travelers, people that would be hungry. And he said, I'll feed you. Let's just talk about stuff. And then everybody knows when you're eating food together and when you're in that kind of relaxed environment. That's why Shabbos is so special. You invite somebody over for Shabbos, like conversation just come up. It's not like all of a sudden in the middle of the Shabbos, they're like, I'm now announcing that God is the only one to connect to. Throw away your idols. It's like, that's intense. It's just like, me'inyan le'inyan. Like, thing just flows together, and just, I feel like there was real conversation of just, let's talk.
He wouldn't go around trying to like convert or proselyte. He was vibing through life with an awareness, like, oh, I want to bring good, I want to help people. Almost like the opposite of a Jehovah's Witness. He's like, I'm doing my thing. If I can help you, can talk about your life, whatever. He would like.
I think also that you see about him, he was so pure that Avraham Avinu was a prophet. He was someone that was he worked on himself so much so that the person that they would encounter was, you could tell, even, Ephron and the whole sale this week of getting the burial plot for Sarah, that they said, this is a man of, you're a man of God, you're a prince of God. People saw that Avraham Avinu was like a holy human being. So it wasn't like somebody like with his shtick, and like he was like a fast talker and I could slug you up. I think they saw something big as well. He made very good points. He was very intelligent. But I think there was something that, I one time heard a line that was a very, very beautiful line. Who you are speaks so loudly that people won't even be able to hear what you have to say. Who you are speaks so loudly that people won't even be able to hear what you have to say. In other words, the sum total of just you as a human being is radiating, is vibing.
Emanating.
Actually, that's more than radiating.
Wow.
Emanating that energy, that in the presence of something so good, so people are affected by that.
It's almost like kiruv by not actively trying to do kiruv.
Yeah, it's whatever he's got. I'd like to order 2 of them, please.
Wow.
Whatever you're on, I don't know what it is, but just you spend some time with Rabbi Dovber. He doesn't have to say very much. Just like, I don't know, whatever you're taking, this is good. Like, it's working. I want some of that. I feel like Avraham Avinu had that. I'm talking about a prophet, a man of God, who was also the chariot of kindness, which also just shows that his whole way was, he was a chariot of, when you see somebody that's so good, who just does so much good for other people. I spoke to somebody here a number of years ago who tragically lost some family members in Surfside. And he said that what brought him back to Torah was he saw the amount of religious Jews that just came to Surfside just to help.
Wow.
It just said, I didn't know the Jewish people were such givers. He said, I don't know who these people are, but these are people that just, they converged from many, many places, and they just felt, I just want to help. Like, give me an orange thing and let me just go in and help with rubble. Like, how can I help? And he said, just that human beings are such givers, it attracted me to this thing called Torah that they were all into. And that was very, very moving. So Avraham Avinu, he's this chariot of giving. And I think that itself is part of the attraction.
It's such a I wouldn't say counterintuitive. It's so different than how we think of like people like to quote, he was the first person to work in kiruv. And today we're so used to people being like active and getting out there and subscribe and forwarding links and it's you're saying like, I don't know, the image you said of like him walking like crowds, like he had such an emanating aura.
I think so.
Of good, like everyone wants that.
I don't think there was like this uber hishtadlus of like we gotta set up 1,000 flyers and put it on every street corner. I imagine there was some of that because there's a din of hishtadlus, and he had a tent, he was giving food, he was doing things, but I think that it was the more emunah you have, the less hishtadlus you need. So he did what you need. He did. He obviously did. And people were being attracted to him. Umekabet ha'am, me'ir la'ir, umimamlocha lamamlocha. He's going around from city to city, country to country. Ad shehigia la'eretz Canaan, until he comes to Eretz Canaan. Vehu koire shenemar, and he calls out, v'yikra sham b'shem Hashem kel olam, and he calls out there in the name of God, the eternal God. That's like a certain shleimus. He's come to Eretz Yisrael. V'keven shehayu ha'am miskabtzem ela v'shoylem lo ya'al dvarav. People are asking him, Hayamoidia l'kol echad ve'echad kfi daitoi. It's so beautiful. Everyone started talking to Avram. Look at this. This is so beautiful. This is exactly it. This is like the podcast. Everyone started asking him. And he would talk to people kfi daitoi, according to their understanding. Kfi daitoi means it's not like, I will present my thesis and you have to come up to my level of sophistication to appreciate. Like, sometimes you could hear these real, like, highfalutin intellectuals. Like, I don't know what he's saying, but it sounds impressive. Right. Like, I guess he's right, because it's just, like, so impressive looking. So, that's like a very low-level belief in the concept. If you're not grasping it yourself, it just sounds impressive. Avraham Avinu was meeting people where they were. Said, we can talk things out. I think there was a radiation, like, of emanating a truth that people were getting. They were feeling this is a man of truth. And then he would talk to them kafi daitoi.
I think there was an aura of good and real, and then the fact that he was so good, and then shmooze about life, and through that shmooze he could give over.
I think it didn't end as like, here's this very charismatic energy individual. He was actually talking to people. Wow. Remember, we said before that he was having like beis dins with people. He was debating. But you see here, Everyone starts talking to Avraham Avinu. The Rama is putting those two words, kefi daitoi, according to their understanding. I'm sure his conversations with one individual who's exceptionally intellectual, he would speak about these topics. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe was doing this. He was having conversations with everybody according to their level, and he could speak about any topic. He was an engineer by trade, and he could speak about chemical engineering. He could speak about art. He could speak about stocks. He spoke to anybody about everything. And let's speak to you where you're at, about your biology. Let's speak about the world that you understand, which also shows that he's very worldly. Very worldly. Kefi daita. What if somebody comes in totally off? How could he connect to that person? He said, L'kol echad ve'echad kefi daita. Looks like there was nobody that Avraham Avinu could not connect to. And we should think about that. Should there ever be a reason why I can't connect to somebody? I mean, at least on some level. That's something to think about. Why should there ever be a person I can't connect to? It's good to be worldly. I want to connect to human beings. L'kol echad ve'echad kefi daitoi. And then what happened? Actually, yachzireu l'derech ha'emes. And he helped bring people back to truth. Thousands and tens of thousands. Vehem anshe beis Avram. And these became, so to speak, the children, the men of the house of Avram. So Avram has a big family at this point. Of people that he's teaching, he's taking care of, and he's guiding them in the ways of emes. We should be zoicha. We're going to be not finishing, we're still gathering, and it's going to be our life of developing the traits of Avraham Avinu. But we're going to see how Avraham Avinu is going to be passing this down to Yitzchak and to Yaakov, and how this forms the basis of the entire Jewish people. And then we're actually going to go into davening itself, because the fifth Iker is teaching us that there's no other address to daven to, only to God, and there's no other address that is providing anything for us. And B'ezrat Hashem, we're going to learn about that and own that, and then continue in the rest of the Yikarim. We should be Zeicha Mamish to Mashid Tzidken B'mhir V'Yamin. Amen. Have a wonderful day, my friends. Kol Tov.